you all to get outside, enjoy nature, and to check out what are our science observation skills, and to use some of those STEM principles, science, technology, engineering, and math. And so today we are going to use our science observation skills again. So I'm out here along the banks of the Ohio River. I am underneath the Taylor Southgate Bridge, so there is definitely some wind and some cars, so I hope you all can hear me well, but there will definitely be some noise. Now, the goal for today is to make a nature comparison. So you need to find somewhere out in nature, out around you. You can absolutely be looking out of a window if it's maybe rainy today or anything. If you want to just be inside, that's totally fine. You just want to look out and find somewhere that you can compare. We're going to look for similarities and differences in two different spaces. So I picked this location as I was walking around because I noticed something about the substrate. Now, you might be saying, what is the substrate? In science, we call the substrate anything that is the bottom surface. So hopefully in the video you can see, kind of up in front of me and all around me where I'm standing is a rocky substrate. We've got rocks anywhere from softball size all the way up to boulders that I could not pick up. So this is definitely a rocky substrate, but then down behind me, there is a sandy substrate right along the river. And so that is something that I noticed as The riverboat is also right next to me. The riverboat is also right next to me, and I'm guessing you could not hear me while the riverboat horn was going. So I'm on a rocky substrate, and below me is a sandy substrate, and that's what I noticed as my first difference. And so what I want to do is compare any other similarities and differences that I see in the rocky area comparing to the sandy area. So in your backyard, you could look at a shade of a tree. And so you're going to compare everything else you notice in that shady area under a tree, and then all the grass or whatever is around not shaded. And so you're going to see what other similarities and differences exist in those two different spaces. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about what I noticed in my rocky versus sandy substrate, and then I hope you all head outside, look outside, and find somewhere to compare. So I did draw it out, and I'll bring this closer to show you what my comparison looks like. But the main thing I noticed was about the plants in our rocky versus our sandy area. So in my rocky area, you guys can see it in the video. There are tons of plants. Some of them are even knee-high or almost hip-high for me. So we have tall plants and lots of plants, especially right along the edge of the rocks. It is very densely planted. There's lots and lots of plants. It looks like there's pretty good diversity. I would say I can see 2, maybe 3 different types of plants without being able to identify them, just looking at how they appear. Then if you look down on the sandy area, you can see behind me, there are almost no plants. Actually, this direction behind me, there are a few plants, and there's a tree that has toppled over. And so I'm starting to think that this has something to do with the substrate. So in sandy areas, the rocks or the pieces of rock are so small that I don't think the plant roots can really hold on to anything, and that may have caused our tree to topple over. But over here in the rocky area, the tree or the plant roots have something to hold on to, and that allows them to grow bigger and be more stable. So I do think that my plant difference is probably likely due to this rocky and sandy substrate. There is also shade up above me, so that may be causing some sort of impact, but I don't see any difference in that. So the sun is the same. There is sun and shade in both areas. So hopefully you guys find a spot outside, do a comparison like this. I'm going to come up there and show you my drawing so you guys see. We've got our sandy area with very few and very small plants. I drew them very small. And then in my rocky area, I have got trees, and I have got rocks, and then larger plants in that area. So head outside, find a spot with any kind of difference, and then see what other similarities and differences you see. I here am only looking at plants. I didn't decide to go really, really small and look for invertebrates, but I bet you guys could look for a lot of animal differences in this kind of area or in your nature spot also. So enjoy, use those science observation skills, and see what you can find that is similar and different in the nature habitats around you. Enjoy.